Bookkeeping Made Simple, and on this I talk about everything to do with business, from your mindset and how it affects your business to nutrition, because you can't run a business if you're not at your optimum, and of course payroll, accounting, and tax. That's what I do for a living, so that is what I want to talk to you about. That is one of the things that's going to be the very first thing that a business coach is going to ask you about. So we're going to cover a ton of material in the course of this podcast, this broadcast. This is available on Spotify as a podcast and on our YouTube channel. We are going through some changes that I'm hoping to roll out pretty soon here. But today I want to talk about how to get the most out of your bookkeeping service. And the reason I want to talk about this is I have clients from time to time who do not, oh goodness, am I not running? Hello, input, audio input capture. Okay, that's better. I'm going to have to redo this. We're going to stop the stream and start over again. Hi everyone, Donna here with Bookkeeping Made Simple, and I apologize. We have had a hiccup today with our live stream. I am trying some new technology, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. When it works, it's great. When it doesn't, it's, not so much. Today I want to talk about, well, before I get started, on this show, I talk about everything to do about business, particularly where it comes into finance. I do talk about things like your mindset and how it needs to shift as you move from one phase of your business to another. I talk about nutrition from time to time, because you cannot run a business if you are not firing on all cylinders, so to speak. I talk about some topics that are particular to women in business, which will be coming up. But most of the time I talk about bookkeeping, accounting, payroll, and tax. And I realize that's about as interesting as watching paint dry. But it is important. It's critical. The whole point of business is you do math for money. You want to make sure that you're turning a profit, and you want to make sure you have a positive cash flow. There's a lot that goes into this. And today I want to talk about, when you hire a bookkeeping service or an accounting service, how to make that work for you. The reason this came up is that we have clients that we will ask multiple times for information that we have to be able to do their books. And when we go back and request it over and over and over, many times they get frustrated and they cancel their service. So I want to really talk about that. I have had clients literally tell me that they felt like their bookkeeping should be a set it and forget it type of a thing. Folks, it doesn't work that way. You cannot set it and forget it. We have questions. We need to know the answers to our questions in order to be able to make sure that your books are correct. So when we ask for information, when we ask you to send us, for example, bank statements, we can't actually do our job without that. So if you are, and keep in mind, we're trying to track a lot of clients, and you have one of our clients. So, we really do need to make sure that our clients are communicating with us both ways. If they have less than stellar feedback, we want to know about that. And the reason we want to know about that is probably a trigger for me to go back in and say, okay, what's not working that we need to change? I do not pretend to have all of the answers when it comes to accounting or how to run a business. I do not pretend to have all the answers at all. I do know that I have a lot of questions. And, sorry, I'm just turning the lights on, my desk lamp on, so that I get a little bit better light. We don't have all the answers, and we can't read your mind. So it's really, really important for our clients to communicate with us both ways. If they see a problem, we need to know about it for a couple of reasons. One, we need to correct it. And two, if it's a systemic problem, I may not have heard about it from any other client, and I don't know about it. I can't fix it if I don't know about it. I'm very, very much about please, give us your feedback, even if you don't think we're going to like it. Negative feedback comes directly to me. Positive feedback, please put it on Google reviews. But we want to have an opportunity to find out what it is, and then to, maybe I need to make some changes to our workflows to make sure that we are addressing those immediately. I am very much about making sure that if we have a problem with one client, I don't want it to end up to be a problem with 10 clients. So if client 1 doesn't complain, they just cancel. Now I don't know why they canceled, and I don't know what to fix. Okay? And 99 times out of 100, it's a communication error. Usually it is that the client thinks that bookkeeping or accounting or anything to do with money is a set it and forget it type of a system. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, it's not. We need to have communication with clients. And that means that if we reach out to you, we need you to respond. That does a few things for us. One, we want you to be engaged in the process. We want you to be aware of what's going on in your books, with your business. We want you to know that your business is being taken care of. We want to make sure that your books are accurate and that they correctly reflect the financial realities of your business. And if you're not communicating with us, so if we are saying, oh, I'm seeing a loan payment, but I don't see a loan, and we're not getting any information back, by definition, now your books are not accurate and they are not reflecting the financial reality of your business. So it's critical. It is absolutely critical. We shouldn't have to, we do, but it's important that we maintain that two-way communication. So we can't just be the only ones communicating. We need to get information back. This does a lot of things for the client. Like I said, number one, it keeps them engaged. We want our clients to be engaged with us. We want you to talk to us about your books. We want to hear from you. Oh, I went and got a new loan to buy a new piece of equipment for my business. We need to know that. And that is why, by the way, we do the quarterly reviews. These quarterly reviews are initiated by us. Okay, so every 3 months, 3 months from the time I review the client last, I will get a notification to review them again. I've got it set up in our system. So I will get a notification to review the client again, and then there will be an email invitation for the client to set up a quarterly, and a few clients have a monthly review. We want to make sure that those are happening. We're reviewing the books on our end, but we also want to have that communication with the client. So we want to know what's going on in your personal life that's going to affect your business. Okay, we want to know, and some of the things that have happened to clients that have affected their business are, we've had a client whose son died in the middle of the night, and the father was the business owner, and he was devastated, and he literally couldn't deal with things. We needed those quarterly meetings to be able to talk to him, and granted, this is pretty extreme, to talk to him and make sure that, one, is he okay personally? What can we do to support him personally? If we had known ahead of time, or if we had known at the time of the event, or if we had known even if he had stayed in contact with us and we knew that this was unusual for him to not communicate, we could have done a better job of supporting him. Not that there's a ton that we could do, but there's always a little something that we could have done. But we don't know if we don't know. If we have a client that's getting ready, wants to qualify to purchase a home, we need to know about that. That's a personal thing, but it can affect the business. So now we need to know, do we need to change the way we're doing the accounting? With the gentleman whose son passed away, do we need to suspend your service for a little bit so that that's one less thing you have to worry about? And a death in the family has affected several of my clients over the years. It's never really expected. You never really expect anybody to die. We always expect to live forever, but it does happen. Everybody dies, and it's hard for those left behind. So if something extreme happens like that, or you're having to take off to deal with a sick family member, that does happen. It's happening for me right now. My parents are not doing so well. uh, so it's important for me to be able to take time off and be able to go work from their home in another state so that I can support them, which means that it's important for my clients to know that. It's important for my colleagues to know that. It's important for my networking groups to be aware of that, because they can give me support of some kind, even if it's just moral support, simply by knowing what I'm going through. We also need to know if you're going to make a big change in your business. So, are you thinking about selling your business? We might have to go back and make sure that your accounting is what it needs to be. For example, if you signed up and you just wanted cash basis accounting because it's simple, but you're going to sell your business and just sellers want to see accrual accounting, now we have to change a lot of things and we have to go back. We would like to know that way ahead of time. Okay. Again, if you're going to buy a home, even if it's just your personal home, if you're going to buy real estate, we need to know about that, because we do want to make sure that your books are accurate and that they accurately reflect your business, so that when you go to submit your financials for a loan or a mortgage, they're correct. We don't like going back and saying, oh, well, we didn't know about this. It makes us look bad. It makes the client look bad. So we need to know about these things ahead of time. Occasionally we get a client that is uncomfortable giving us access to the bank feeds. That makes things much, much harder for us, much harder. But if that is the case, then it is actually incumbent on the client to make sure that they are, put a reminder on your calendar, first of the month, send statements to my bookkeeper. And that way we can just take care of it. But if we do email and say, we need your statements, we need your statements. Period. we need those. We need to make sure that that we've received them, that they're correct, and that they've been entered. We can't do that if we send an email and it seems to disappear into cyberspace. And that is the number one thing. To make the most of your accounting service, make sure you stay in communication with your bookkeeper and with me as the owner of the company. That's what the quarterly reviews are for. Some of our clients have a package that have a monthly review. That's what that time is for. Make use of it. We will, like I said, we'll review the books regardless, but having that meeting time to sit down and say, I have this concern, I have this question. If I do this right now in April, okay, it's the end of March, but if I do this in March, how is it going to affect my taxes next year? That would be a really good question for these reviews. And we want to make sure that we are driving that conversation, and that we are not necessarily driving the conversation, but that we're responsive to our clients, and that we are proactively making sure that these reviews happen. But again, the best thing that you can do is to make sure that you're responsive. Another thing is to be aware. This is the end of March. Tax time ends in less than a month, 3 weeks. Tax time ends in 3 weeks. And that means that I have a whole lot of stuff piled on my desk, plus what's just virtually in my system that needs to be done. So if for some reason you don't get a return call quite as fast as we usually would do, have a little compassion. We usually wait 2 or 3 days before following up on a phone call ourselves, and we try to be aware of when is your busy season. So if you're a construction company in Utah, we already know you're probably off from Christmas to Mother's Day. You know, that's your slow time. Certainly from Christmas to at least March 5th, or excuse me, to March, from the whole meteorological, not meteorological, but the whole winter. You're going to be off from the first day of winter to the first day of spring as a minimum, if you're in construction and you're in Utah. With a few, maybe if you're down in St. George where it's warmer, you might not have to be off quite that long. But in the Salt Lake City area, we already know you're going to have those 3 months off at a minimum. So we're going to want to take that time in the first quarter of the year to make sure that you're prepared for your busy season. Okay, let's talk about how do you want your chart of accounts set up. Let's talk about what do you see happening this year? What are your plans? Are you planning to buy more equipment? This is how it's going to affect your taxes. Are you planning to move your family? Are you planning to buy a new house? Are you planning to, even if these plans don't come to fruition, we need to know them because we want to make sure that you have the correct documentation and the correct financial statements that they accurately reflect your business and that they are appropriate for the uses for which you're going to put those financial statements. A lot of people don't realize this, but there are multiple ways of approaching accounting. Most people are only familiar with tax accounting, which is where we go in and we do tax accounting. We go in and some of the legitimate business expenses that are on your books may not be tax deductible. So we go in and we check. For example, if you're a single owner LLC or a single owner S Corp and you have life insurance on yourself, that is not a deductible expense for several reasons. So we want to make sure that when we're looking at insurance, that we're not looking at life insurance premiums, that we're looking at vehicle insurance. Also, health insurance is only deductible in certain scenarios. So we want to make sure that we are obeying the tax law, but we also want to make sure that we are utilizing the tax law to bring our clients as much savings as possible on their tax returns. Okay, so this communication with your accountant is critical, and it's critical to do this even after tax time. So if you are one of our clients, watch for these review emails. That does mean that I am in the process of reviewing your books, and it does mean that I do want to meet with you at least every 3 months. That's the minimum, to make sure that 1, everything is going well. 2, that we are aware of any changes that may happen in your circumstance that's foreseeable, and that we can make sure that your books are correct. And then 3, if anything is happening on a personal level. One of my tax clients is having a baby. So I want to make sure that she gets a box of diapers, and maybe a gift card, because that's a special occasion and we want to make sure to honor that if we're aware of them. So give us an opportunity to support you. Again, not just in the books, but on a kind of personal level as well. We also want to make sure that, like I said, that everything's going well. We want to make sure those tax questions are addressed year-round, because by the time January 1st gets here, it is too late for you, the business owner, to make any changes or make any purchases that will affect what you may or may not get back, or what you may have to pay in for the 2024 tax year, which will be due in 2025. So we want to make sure that we're talking to you about all of this. Please make sure you're responding to our emails. Please, and by the way, that is the reason why we have text reminders and email reminders for all of our appointments. I've had one client say it was a bit much. I've had a couple clients say it was a bit much, and I've laughed and said, if you knew how many clients I have that need those duplicate reminders, you'd understand. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end. Make sure you communicate with your bookkeeper. It's critical. That is what is going to make the money that you're spending with an accounting service worthwhile. Make sure you're answering their questions. Make sure you're taking advantage of any meetings or reviews. That way we can make sure to serve you in the ways that you need. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast. You guys have a wonderful day and happy Monday.